How you doing?
Hello, is this Dazzle?
Yeah, it's Dazzle.
Yes, how you doing? I want to know if I can book a reading or if you're available for a reading.
Yes, always. What's on your mind?
Okay, so I think my baby father's sleeping with the girl next door.
What?
And yes, because she always looking at me funny. She never really speak. But every time I'm with him, it's like she speak and be giggly, like doing this like a side eye thing. I think it's like a woman's intuition thing. He say I'm tripping, but I know I'm not. He don't do nothing for me, nothing for my kids. And the other day, I found like a Gucci receipt in his armrest, and just coincidentally, she had like some
Alright, we're
Gucci
gonna
shoes.
figure. Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everybody. It's your girl Dazzle, and I'm back for another tarot reading. So please like, comment, and subscribe to my YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of when I upload and when I go live. And if you would like to book a private reading, everything is going to be in the description box, okay? So before we start, everything I say here is all alleged and for entertainment purposes only until modern science comes up with a mathematical equation that the metaphysical science is in fact a valid form of science and all tools of divination are all in fact valid tools of science. Okay? Until then, I'm just a girl, that don't know nothing, that's just talking. That's talking. Mm-hmm. Don't mind my baby in the background, my fur baby. He got a new toy and he's so happy with it. Okay, as you probably, I don't know if you can hear it, but he is having a good time with it. Okay, so we're here for everyone. Everyone wants to see Rock Nation fall. And for this installment, we're going to be going back to Demoree Hadley and her mother, Desiree Perez, the CEO of Rock Nation. Okay, so I did a reading on them before, but I wanted to go back to it because recently she went on Tasha K and did an interview, right? And she's been running around with Jaguar rights, right? Huh. And Nicki Minaj has co-signed her calls, right? So I'm not going to get into it. If you see Tasha K's video, her interview, you probably see me in the chat going back and forth. So don't worry about that, right? I'm gonna keep my opinions out of it, right? We're just gonna get into the story. We're gonna get into the reading. And I've been inspired today. I had to be inspired. And I was inspired because I was looking at the story, this Greek mythology, right? Of Orpheus and Eurydice, right? Orpheus is the grandson of Zeus. His mother was a muse, right? And basically, Orpheus fell in love with Eurydice, okay? And it was the love of his life. It was puppy love, real love, eternal love, love that he thought and she thought would be forever. And what ended up happening is Eurydice unfortunately met an early, untimely end, right? And in Greek mythology, when you pass, you go to the underworld, right? And who's the king of the underworld? Who's the queen of the underworld? It is Hades and Persephone, right? And they have their own little love story too, right? So he was so distraught. Orpheus was distraught and he was very determined. And no one would help him get back his love of his life, Eurydice, right? So he was determined and his soul was strong. So he decided that he would walk through the valleys of the underworld and retrieve the soul of his love and bring her back into the real world so she may live again and they may continue their love story. When he went down there, he had sung a song, played a song that was so beautiful. It made Hades and Persephone listen to his plight. And they said, well, we will let you take Eurydice from the underworld, but you have to walk the path She will shadow you, but you have to walk the path. And you cannot speak to her, nor look back at her, for surely she will be dragged back into the underworld, right? You can only look at her after you have completed the path and you see the sun light shine upon you. Only then can you look back at her, and only then can you speak to her. And he did everything he could, right? But at some point, he thought that he was finished, right? He thought that the sun, the abundant sun, the radiant sun that shined upon the opening and he can see the sunlight, it was so close. So he decided to look back at his love. And that was his one grave mistake. He was supposed to be outside before he looked back. And because he looked back, she was dragged back into the underworld, never to be able to come to the human world again. So his mission failed. Okay. But the love story still remains. He walked through the shadows of the underworld for his love, right? Why am I talking about this story? I'm talking about this story because it reminds me of Demoree Hadley and her love, her greatest love, her husband. Okay. And I wonder, is this her? Is she walking through the valley of the shadow of death? Is she going through the underworld to get her husband? And she is on the way back, right? But her only task is to not look back and see him for who he is, right? You cannot see him. You cannot speak to him. You can only see him and speak to him at the end of the journey. Now, of course, in real life, they're still talking. They see each other, whatever. But metaphorically, she's on this journey with her mother, going against her mother, right? And she is raging down this path. But in order to complete this path, you might have to not, you have to look past and not look, matter of fact, not look at and not speak of who her husband really is. She has to turn a blind eye, per se, to some of the things like the domestic violence and things like that that her mother is accusing Mr. Hadley of, right? You cannot see him for who he is until you're finished and your task is complete and you have successfully ruined your mother, right? This is a hard task. This is a long path. But if she completes it, then she can actually see her husband in the lights, right? But what is she going to see when they get into the lights and they get the abundance that they seek? Because the abundance is supposed to be the money that I beat you. I won against the big bad Desiree Perez and Rock Nation. And I'm one of the reasons why Rock Nation has fallen. Okay? So, hold on one second, y'all. Lex, how do you play with your toy that end up getting into it? Wondering, right? That's why I cannot let you just sit around while I read. Because you get into a lot of things. Like you have two toys. But look, you see how calm I am now? Because it is a thing. Does she have to not see who her husband is to walk this path? And then after she gets what she wants, and they're supposed to be walking in the light happily ever after, she's supposed to see her husband as he is, right? So this might be a story that is literally aligned with Demoree Hadley's life. So we're going to get some energy. We're going to see how she really feels about her mother, right? And like I said, I'm revisiting this whole thing because it's part of the series. And I got inspired. And I seen the story of Orpheus and Eurydice. Okay, and it really inspired me to redo this reading and to see what I get. So, how does Demoree Hadley sincerely feel about her mother, Desiree Perez? How does she sincerely feel? How does she sincerely feel about her mother? Demoree, how do you feel? What is your true emotions towards your mother, Desiree Perez? 1, 2, 3. Living in the moment. Okay, so Desiree Perez tends to do things in the moment. She doesn't, not Desiree Perez. Demoree Hadley tends to do things in the moment. She doesn't really look at the longevity. So she's short sighted. That's Demoree. And so since she's short sighted, her mom views it as a negative. So her mom wants her to be more long term oriented or see the bigger picture. And her mom views that as a negative quality of her. And she knows that. And so she gets upset at that about her mom. Spiritual, and it's in the reverse: chaos, ego death, downward spiral, spiritual awakening. It's in the reverse. So, this is another negative. She also feels like her mom isn't open, right? Her mom is in her ego. She feels like her mom is demanding. She can be someone who puts pressure on her instead of allowing her to be open and to really just, absorb everything that's her, and she's everything, right? Things like that. So Demoree wants her mom to be that way, but her mom is not like that, right? So what Demoree does is Demoree sits there and acts out, right? So she will form her own little chaotic bubble, which is short-sighted, right? Because she wants to make her mom see her, right? I miss you. She misses her mother, okay? She created distance between her and her mother. So she's literally missing her mother. She misses her mother, but she's having this tantrum and it's short sighted, okay? So that's how she feels about her mother, all right? She feels like her mother wants more for her, and her mother does not accept her and the way she lives and the way she sees things, right? And her mother wants her to see things like to have a more reality, to be in reality. Her mother wants her to be in reality, right? And have long term goals. What Demoree really wants is Demoree wants to be a wife. She wants to be, that's why she's Mrs. Hadley. That's her biggest goal that she ever wanted. That's the only thing she wanted, right? So how does Desiree Perez truly feel about her daughter, Demoree? Okay. How does Desiree Perez truly feel about her daughter, Demoree? And the other thing about Orpheus in that story, no one can tell him anything. He had his heart set on getting Eurydice back from the underworld. And people told him not to go, right? But he wanted to go anyway. He wanted to go on this path, on this dangerous path in the underworld where he may not be able to come back, okay? So with Demoree, people have told her to not go down this path. Do this a different way. Understand what's going on. See things as they are. But she's strong-willed and she lives in the moment. So what she wants it now. She doesn't want to, plan for it. She wants it now. Okay? So how does her mother really truly feel about Demoree? How does Desiree Perez really feel about Demoree? All this came out, and I might as well just read all of it, right? Okay, so the first one you have Psycho, crazy ex, obsessed, won't let go. She really does feel like her daughter's lovesick. She has this, she has an addictive personality, and she's addicted to this man. Okay, even if it's to her detriment. The other thing I seen is memories, right? Memories is right here. This lady loves her daughter, right? This is the type of mom that looks at pictures of when her daughter was a baby and the way that she was able to hold her and the love of a child and a mother or a mother to a child, changing her baby diaper, loving on her baby. I don't know. She could even breastfeed her baby. Who knows? But the connection was there. She loved Demoree. No matter what Demoree says, Desiree Perez absolutely loved her baby. Okay, so this is going to make me cry because Demoree was Desiree's baby and still is. Matter of fact, Desiree does not see her daughter as a woman yet. When she sees her daughter, she sees her baby. And I know that a lot of y'all don't like that, but to be honest, your mom probably still see you as her baby. You know? Divine feminine is in the reverse, right? So this is a toxic trait. It's either that or she feels like Demoree has not stepped into that yet. Demoree has not actually took on her own power. So there's self-empowerment that Demoree that she feels like Demoree is not taking on, right? And this is Queen B, right? She feels like she wants Demoree to be her own boss. She wants Demoree to get out here on her own and be like her, like she's a CEO and things like that. She wants her to grab her life by, you know, by the horns and lead, right? She want her to be successful. She want her to be big, but she knows that Demoree wants to be a wife. She wants to be Miss Hadley, but also her mom feels like, well, you know, being a wife, you could be a wife and you can be successful. Your world does not have to revolve around a ring. There's a funeral in the reverse. So she also knows that somebody close to them passed away, right? So that's acknowledged, right? And when it comes to living in the moment, again comes up. She knows that Demoree is not long is not long sighted. She's very short sighted. She wants what she wants now. And what she wanted again is this man to pop the question. This man. Right? So it's really about this toxic, unhealthy attachment to a man. And Demoree, she feels like Demoree should be more empowered as a woman to go out and really like go out and pretty much live in her best potential. She wants the best for Demoree. She does. And she does look at her as her baby, right? So anything happens to her baby, she's going to spaz out. And even if she does it the wrong way, right? At the core of it, it's because I love you. I love you so much that if I have to stop you from hurting yourself, I would, right? And if I got to stop him from hurting you, or I feel like he's hurting you, I will. Okay, so how does Demoree's Eurydice, because that's her husband, I'm just saying he's Eurydice in the story. How does her husband truly feel about her mom, Desiree? 1, 2, 3. Block, calls, text. He blocked. He got Demoree to block her mother. He doesn't want her mother around. Closing this cycle. Something forbidden that you wouldn't do is cut ties with people who love you. So he got Demoree to block and cut ties from her mother and mirroring, right? So she feels like even though you hold up a mirror to this girl's mom, right, to put her on the spot, right? Because he feels like he's the divine masculine. He is the one that she needs to follow, right? Ghosted, pretty much no contact. We ain't talking nothing. We ain't doing nothing, right? But we're gonna put a mirror up to her in the public and shame her, right? But that's crazy though, because someone who loves you, someone who really, really loves you, like I'm married, right? The one thing my husband would never do is help create distance between my family and myself, right? And then again, you never hear about my husband abusing me either. So he would never want a a toxic situation for me and my family and for those who love me. Okay, so let's see something. When Demoree was on Tasha K, was she telling the whole truth or nothing but the truth about her mother, Desiree Perez? Come on, let's get into it. So I already said all the good pleasantries and shit like that, right? I'm all calm. I took a nap. I got inspired, and basically, right. So did Demoree tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth about her mother, Desiree Perez, on Tasha K's interview? 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, first of all, I'm gonna tell you right now. Here's the problem. I would say she was telling the whole truth, right? But how can you be telling the whole truth when Spirit is saying that she's guided by this Emperor in the reverse? The Emperor in the reverse is a toxic masculine, okay? That's a man who's abusing their power or authority over you. So this man is getting Demoree to say these things, okay? This is very strategic. The Knight of Pentacles is a very strategic knight, right? They're being very strategic, okay? They're bringing up old stuff with the Six of Cups. They're bringing up memories, right? But it's getting twisted in a way. So yeah, her mom could could make you miserable, things like that. But it's a sense of bringing up and being meticulous with it, being being slanderous, abusing their authority. So she's been, I think I said this in the last reading, Demoree is absolutely being controlled by her husband. And not only that, Demoree's miserable too. Like mother, like daughter. If we want to be honest, like mother, like daughter. That's another thing about that mirroring. Her and her mother acts the same. Her mother sees her in her daughter, sees herself in her daughter, right? That's why he doesn't like it. And you know why he doesn't like that he sees Desiree and Demoree? Because Desiree is a boss bitch. And he knows that Demoree can be a boss bitch. But he wants to rule over Demoree. Okay? He wants to rule over Demoree. So what he has Demoree doing this is someone who cares more about money than care about relationships. So this is all money based for Demoree. And in the back, you have this King of Pentacles right here, right? And the King of Pentacles and the Queen of Pentacles is married. So this is a collaborative effort, but it's being spearheaded by her husband who's abusing his power over her. So what they're doing is they're being very strategic about what they're doing. They're doing these interviews and doing this to purposely slander. Why? Because Demoree would not give them or what her husband wants as far as money, right? Her husband wants the money. So he's using Demoree as the ventriloquist doll. He's speaking through Demoree. So when Demoree is talking all this nastiness about her mom on the internet, it's really him speaking through her. right? And honestly, she had fond times with her mom, with her family in general. That Six of Cups, it talks about the past, nostalgia. There were a lot of good times with her mom and her grandparents. Okay, it was bad times, but it was good times. But what family does not have good and bad times? People make mistakes. People find themselves in situations and things like that. But a grown up would tell you that it wasn't always bad and it wasn't always good, but there was love. Okay, so when she acts like her mom never loved her, she's a liar. And in fact, she is being the mouthpiece for this abusive husband of hers. He comes up abusive all the time, and I just need y'all to know this. So when Demoree is being Orpheus in this motherfucking walking through the underworld and asking Hades, Lucifer, and Christian ideology or whatever. So he asks the pantheon god Hades of Greek pantheons, whatever. He's asking Hades and his wife Persephone, and to make it so bad, Persephone actually was someone else's daughter, and he fell in, and actually was his niece though, right? I think she was the daughter of Zeus as well, Persephone, and basically, they fell in love, but Persephone's mother, because her mother loved her daughter so much, told Hades, first of all, you're creepy. That's your niece, and no. So they fell in love. They ran away, right? They defied Persephone's mother. So because of that, Persephone's mother was so upset and she was weeping. And because she was so upset, it went into an ice age, right? The earth froze over. Spring never came. So Zeus, in order to create balance back onto the earth and things like that, right? He had to intervene. So basically, at the end of the day, what they planned is for once a year, Persephone would go back to her mom on Earth, right? And once a year, that's when spring comes, right? Spring comes once a year. The seasons change. And that's because Persephone has come back from the underworld, from her husband Hades, and from her children to see her mother, right? So you got that going on. And then you got this young man who's in love, right? With this woman who's already passed away, right? Death is transformative. It's the ending of a cycle. He was supposed to meet someone else. He was supposed to learn from this cycle, grieve, keep her in his heart, and move on. But he doesn't want to do that, right? He wants to defy the laws of life and death, right? That's what Demoree wants to do. Demoree was supposed to leave her husband a long time ago, and it wasn't supposed to be because of her mother, right? It's supposed to be because he is not equally yoked. And when you have a man that's not equally yoked, they're jealous of you. He sees her mother in Demoree, and he's jealous. He's jealous of her family's wealth. He wants a part of it. So he is sitting here knowing that she would do everything. She would go to hell and back for him. And he's using her. That's the saddest part about this whole story. And you know what's going to happen? See, she ain't supposed to see. She got to ignore who he really is. Hades told Orpheus to ignore. Hades and Persephone told her, in order for this thing to work out, you gotta not look back and see her. You can't speak to her. So you can't speak to the true her, and you can't see her in her truest form, which is a ghost of the past, right? You can't do that until you're out, completely out of the underworld, right? And then, only then can you see her for who she really is. And you can speak to who she really is. So Hades and Persephone, the these people then told Demoree, yeah, you can go this route. But guess what? You have to ignore who your husband really is. You have to feed into everything your husband is doing. And don't question. Don't talk back. But guess what? After you ruined what you had with your mother and your family, and you disgraced her, and you put the nail in Rock Nation, and you side with their ops, only after that, and you get your money and you leave, only after that are you left with the true him. Now, my question is, can Demoree handle the true him? No. And you know what's gonna happen? She's gonna have to let him go anyway. Even Orpheus had to let Eurydice go. And mind you, I wouldn't be surprised at some point during this journey of going to court with her mom that she has to let this man go because it's not worth saving. And it was all selfish to begin with. It's not going to be worth saving. So that's what I'm getting from that. How y'all like that? It was very calm. But yeah, but that's what it gave me. And I really got inspired. So what I'm going to ask y'all is that, is Demoree a love-inspired daughter, abused by her overstepping evil mother? Or is she a mentally interrupted, spoiled, overly emotional, and easily influenced daughter whom is also lovesick and being abused by her husband? How do y'all feel about this? Y'all tell me who this woman is, right? Who she really is. And does she have a surprise waiting for her at the end of this rainbow that she thinks will be a pot of gold? And even if she gets the gold, there's always a leprechaun by the gold. You know? There's always a bitch at the end of the rainbow with some bullshit with the gold, right? So, but y'all tell me though. Yeah, I like this one. I had a good time talking mess, right? But it's not talking mess. I'm just giving y'all. I hope y'all been inspired. I hope y'all got like a little bit of tea from this, and I hope that you guys learned something. True to me and throw the bones, because this love story, this Orpheus and Eurydice love story, yeah, it's not going to end the way Orpheus, aka Demoree, thinks it's going to end. That's exactly what's going to happen. Yeah. But anyway, love y'all for real. Peace. And I'm out.